So I'm going to take you through a topic that I'm really, really passionate about, which is Africa. There's so much to talk about Africa, and I'm really hoping you enjoy my topic today. And I'm going to be talking about Africa does not need policing. So a couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with a long-time friend of mine, and he said how Africa needs policing, in that we cannot and will not develop without the constant monitoring and interference of Western superpowers. And I was bothered, so I tried to understand why. And basically he was like, we're inherently selfish and we don't have enough resources to negotiate on a global scale. And I was more bothered about it, so I kind of went into my research and I asked people about it, and they were actually like, you know what? Our leaders are selfish. We don't know how to manage our resources. I mean, everything we know about Africa is what aid workers tell us, CNN tells us. What do we know about ourselves, really? Let me put it into context. How many people in this room have an iPhone? Put it up in the air. How many people have owned an iPhone? How many people want to own an iPhone? Did you know that iPhone wouldn't be an iPhone without African resources? Did you know that? Why? The wiring in the iPhone actually comes from minerals mined in Rwanda and DRC and Zambia. How many people knew that? I like this crowd. Who likes chocolate, guys? And where is the best chocolate in the world from?
Oh, no.
Switzerland. Do you know that Swiss chocolate doesn't come from Switzerland? It comes from Africa. The cocoa, which makes Swiss chocolate, actually comes from Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal. Production happens in Switzerland, true, but the amazing cocoa that makes the chocolate comes from where? Africa. Tea. Who drinks tea? Who are known, which country in the world is known for drinking tea?
British.
The British, right? It's called English tea. But where does English tea come from? Yeah, right here, the East African highlands. The tea is got out of here, auctioned through Mombasa, produced in Switzerland and Netherlands, and then imported to England. And then it's called English tea. Does anyone know any other thing that comes from Africa but is claimed by other people? Kyondo? The Japanese have owned that thing, like it's not ours anymore. It's called a tote these days. I like to think of myself as a dreamer. And I have a dream. I have a dream that one time Africa is going to open up and actually recognize its raw power. We are so powerful. We have human resource. Our teachers, our athletes, we have Qatar, Africa. Our athletes are stolen by the Qatar. We have teachers, we have nurses in the US are all African. Right? Why don't we appreciate our own human resource? Our natural resources, our diamonds, our tanzanite, our gold. I mean, literally, if you take a diamond ring to a Sierra Leonean, you wouldn't know what the hell that is. Because these resources are literally taken out of Africa, and by the time they come back, we can't access our own resources. Our culture. There's this film that's really popular right now, Black Panther, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, Africans are so cool. We've been cool, guys. We've been here. And Wakanda is not this fairy tale place in Black Panther. It lives in the hearts of Africans. You are Wakanda, you are magic, right? And yeah, there are issues. We've misappropriated resources. We've misused power. We've abused funds. I mean, we've done it all, right? We have problems. Our systems have failed. Our leaders are selling our land. There's a lot of issues, right? But all is not lost. Western democracy, it's a tricky thing, right? Because we've imported this system of governance from people who have tried and failed many systems, and we've come and taken it as our own without considering African culture, African ways of life. For example, Africans are naturally community people. Capitalism is all about me, me, me. So where is Africa in the systems we've adopted? I struggle with one particular thing. The former French colonies, about more than 15, right? Mali, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, right? These people still pay colonial tax. 50 years post-independence, African countries are still paying colonial tax. And how is that? There's actually an 11-point system, which is mind-blowing. But here are a few key highlights. Colonial debt. Once Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire and all that, once they gained independence, they had to pay back the infrastructure that France had built in the countries. So a road, which was built by the French, they had to pay for it. Any train, that kind of thing, had to be paid for. Colonial tax. No African reserves. So these African countries, they don't have reserve banks there. They actually take their monies into the French reserve banks and can only access between 15 to 20% of their monies for development. Anything beyond that is considered a loan. Yeah. And to add to that, it's at an interest rate set by the French government. The official languages, and there's something called the right of first refusal, i.e., you find gold in your backyard. This is Senegal. You find gold in your backyard, first you have to offer it to the French to buy at the rates they propose. If they're not interested, maybe we can talk to other people. It's happening 50, 60, 70 years after independence. Are we truly free? Are we truly free? But all is not lost. Really, all is not lost. Africa, the countries, are so diverse. When are we going to open our borders to each other? When are we going to come together as one Africa and go and take our seats at the table on a global scale and be like, as Africans, this is what we're saying. This is how we're going to sell our tea, our diamonds, our athletes. I mean, if they're going to take them, we might as well dictate how they go, right? But why don't we do that? Why don't we visit each other's countries? How many people have been in countries outside of Africa? Quite a number. How many people have been in countries outside of Kenya? The number of people who've been outside Africa is more than the number of people who've been in other African countries. Why? People are paying to come to Kenyan beaches and Tanzanian wildlife, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. There's no Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro. You know, like, people are interested in what's happening in Africa except Africans. Why don't we visit ourselves? Why don't we go and experience the beauty of our continent? And finally, why don't we invest in ourselves, in our own Dora Milaje? Why can't we have our military superpowers? Why? In our Princess Shuris, why don't we have science programs where we can constantly be innovating and creating solutions for African problems? Why do we have to wait for people to bring us mosquito nets when we can go into our labs and find cures for malaria and cancer and HIV and etc, etc, etc? It can happen, we just need to invest in it. Deliberate investing in solutions. This is the current situation. We are 50 to 70 years post-independence, right? On average, if you take Ghana at 1952, I think, and South Sudan at 5, 50 to 70 years post-independence, right? If you compare the United States 50 to 70 years after they gained independence from the UK, and Africa, it's the same situation. They were at war with themselves. They were at war with Mexico. They were having attempted assassination of presidents. They were having failed systems of leadership. So why are we so hard on ourselves? Why are we so hard on ourselves? Why are we calling ourselves selfish and incapable and needing of policing? It has happened. It is going to happen. It's part of the process. But it's our process we should be enjoying. And I really look forward to the day when we're going to be able to look at the progress we've made and actually appreciate that progress. As Africans, let's enjoy it. Let's be better for the next generation. Let's do better. But let's always remember that we are better. Don't wait for any story from where else, God knows where. Be who you know we are. Be better.